deployable by the industry. That is going to help both the institute as well as the industry, because industry will not need another 9 to 10 months of a bench time or a training time to absorb that talent. And the second part of this is that the requirements of the industry move very, very rapidly. And for the academic system, it is impossible to keep changing that academic system at the same pace. Technology, just to kind of give you some perspective, earlier it used to take about 2 decades, 20 years in the 50s and 60s for a particular technology to get obsolete. Now that obsolescence period is reduced to something like 3 years. However, the academic system and the entire, not just in India, I'm saying worldwide, if you look at it, the academic system is not geared towards such a fast adoption, which means that if the curriculum has to be changed, it has to be percolated down the line, the entire faculty has to change, the entire assessment system has to change, all of that takes time. So it is not just the lack of right kind of resources, it is also the change of pace of technology which is happening, where academic system as a system will find it very difficult to keep pace, and hence the need for interventions where we give them something extra, which makes them ready for their first job. Once the students get started on their first job with the right kind of skill sets, it is a very different career that they start with. If in the first job they start struggling, even if you somehow manage to get your first job and you're not up to the mark on that, and you get dropped, like all these IT companies now, the forced attrition, so to say, where the students are given 1 opportunity, 2 opportunities, is as high as 10% in some companies. And I don't blame those companies for that, because they have given enough opportunity, and even after 1 year, if the student is not shaping up, for how long can I keep investing in a student and the student is not responding to the system? So those 10% students who get dropped out, their career is really taken a backseat, and it is really sad state of affairs for that. So we as custodians of technical education and as leaders in the region for technical education need to ensure that the output that we are producing does not fall into that. We have to make sure that our output meets the requirements of the industry as much as they require. And that's something which, again, it's a collaborative effort. It's not something which, it's not like an organ transplant, right? That you bring it from outside and put it. Even that organ transplant needs the support from within. So it is a collaborative effort where you are imbibing and integrating this as a part of curriculum. It is something which becomes as natural as attending a thermodynamic session class or a practical of C, C++ or any other practical. So it just becomes a natural cycle over there, and it becomes part of their normal curriculum. And that's when the student feels that, okay, it is just like I'm doing engineering, I'm also spending in some effort, time and energy towards preparing myself for my first job. I'm pretty sure with the kind of vision that Dr. Modi has and all the other colleagues ably supporting him, we will make it a large success, huge success, and we will implement the vision of making industry-ready talent at Modi Foundation across colleges. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. While the industry curriculum imparts great conceptual grounding, there keeps emerging a need for industry readiness through skill upgrade on new technologies. And this program turns the students into a ready-to-deploy talent. This industry orientation program between Dr. K.N. Modi Foundation and PurpleLeap is indeed a step further towards a better future for the students. May I invite Dr. D.K. Modi, Chairman, Dr. K.N. Modi Foundation, and Mr. Amit Bansal, CEO, PurpleLeap, on stage for the formal exchange of agreement papers. Mr. Amit Bansal to facilitate. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this proud moment. Now, I call upon Mr. Manohar from PurpleLeap to tell us more about this program and PurpleLeap and take us through his presentation and make us aware of everything that they have in offer. Mr. Manohar.
Good morning all. It is indeed a privilege to be here. In a brief meeting that we had some time ago, I've had a wonderful experience. Being part of the delivery team and interacting at the rollover time. I traveled from down south, Nagarkoil to Mandi Kotankar in Punjab. And when I meet the first set of people who initiate the program, I see them very, very young. The average age group of people who are in the leadership of colleges is actually not equipped with the experience to run a big vision. So the distinctly different fact here is the group here is so rich with experience and so new with ideas. Borrowing what Professor Sharma said, he's actually talking about using the virtual classrooms, which is just happening, just started in the country, picking up. And I'm really, really sure that this is going to go in a right direction. Having said that, let me actually take you through the nuances of what makes a program successful. At the vision level, what we have to go through in the next 3 years, 5 years to come, has to have a good beginning and a good rollover. All of you know it and deal with it day in, day out. We have dealt it in this particular model, in this hybrid learning model, and we have delivered it, like I said, all through the country, all over the country. We found some interesting facts, and I personally worked in school education, I worked in higher education, I worked in the corporate education. I found some interesting facts, and I will present those things, which will actually you'll appreciate to see, and we can actually incorporate those ideas as well. We are lucky to be, under guidance of Pearson and Edicom, and we have a lot of expertise that we carry from them, and those are the things that we will actually use and enable the change that we want to get here. Now, all of you may definitely understand and appreciate, for any change to happen, I'm sure I'm audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible? So, for a change to happen, there are very important facets that are needed. The vision part of it, the executive buy-in part of it, the program management, how it happens, and on the ground, how it delivers. If these are the facets that actually have to come together, then the desired change occurs. This is for a social change, this is for education, this is for anything that is actually called change, more so for education. In case of vision, it is a strategy, it is that long-term, 5 years, 10 years down the lane, what is going to happen, how does it translate? And then that idea being converted to real-time practical method to deliver on the ground. Then the next thing is, how do we actually make it happen? How do we sequence the events, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then set timelines for each of those small goals and roll it down, and the action plan on the ground. Do we have the sufficient infrastructure? Is the plan rightly mapped? Do we have the material to support and all that stuff? When each of them misses, there is a particular thing that happens as an end effect. This I am talking about the students and the classroom. What happens in a classroom? Here, I am actually talking about getting a job for an individual. So I am more bothered and concerned about what change does he go through in my context. So if in case the strategy part of it, the vision part of it is missing, what happens is the confusion. मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ? There's a problem there. One example is when REC Warangal, now the NEC Warangal, when it actually had MS IT done by Carnegie, Then they had an entrepreneurship program there in it, and which ran for almost 3 papers. Students who would have otherwise joined MTech in Indian context were confused why they had to take. There were 7 dropouts out of 21. So the mapping part of it is very, very important. Similarly, if the executive buy-in, the next set of managers who roll it out, if their buy-in is missing, then there are iniquities on the ground. It doesn't actually translate to a real-time change on the ground. Similarly, if in case the program management actually goes wrong, then there are frustrations on the system. And there are false starts, which happens obscene number of times in several projects all over India, whether they are education projects or otherwise. These are false starts. They actually create kind of, we started and it actually fails. After a few months sometimes, a few years, it actually doesn't stand in place. So these are things which are applicable. I've actually seen it in school education to the corporate education. All these things are very, very relevant, and I'm sure this you must be seeing it yourself too. Coming to mapping to the industry part of it, when it is actually a low-end technology company, out of every 100 students they actually screen, they take about 12 to 15 people. When I'm actually talking about a high-end company, they take about 3 to 5. When I'm talking high-end, to give an example, I'm talking about Microsoft or Yahoo or Google or Siemens, various companies like this. They actually go to a level of 3 to 5 people from every 100. Similarly, a low-end company about 100, they will take about 12 to 15. What do they look for? I am actually talking about the end result part of it in some context, and then I will talk also about how do we map it in real time. So the problem solving capabilities is one very, very important thing for any engineer. And then the communication skills, interpersonal skills, and then the technical and functional skills. These are things which they of course look at, and this is what we should actually help our students get. In our schooling, do they give marks for teamwork? They don't. We were never taught how to communicate with people. How do I say, sir, can I ask this question? No, we are not taught. We are only told कि बस करो, पूछो, अगर question आ गया तो पूछो. ज़्यादातर ऐसा होता है कि I have a question, somebody else asks that question from in the classroom, and then मैं अपने आप को शाबाश बोलता हूँ, यार मेरा question उसमें भी है. We don't teach them that they should break ice at the school level itself, and that is a problem. Probably all teachers can teach at least 60-70% of content given in the textbook, subject given in the textbook, but we don't ask, we don't teach students how to do that, and we don't evaluate them on that. So similarly, on how do you produce results, हमारे बच्चों को सिखाया जाता है कि एग्जाम कैसे क्रैक करें, वो 40-45 मार्क्स कैसे आए at the start level, and वो 60 कैसे क्रॉस करें, 80 कैसे क्रॉस करें. We teach them how to crack exams. We don't teach them how to produce results in small things which are tangible. Those are the things that companies generally look for, and we have to train them towards that. So in doing all this exercise, when we roll it out in college, in context with what I was trying to tell earlier, we need 3 levels of intervention. This is at the strategy level, which all of you have put in place, and there is a strategy here. The strategy group, there is a think tank actually which is just next to you who implement it into practice. There are people who actually look at reports, they see how it happens, are the results coming up, first month में क्या हमको मिलना चाहिए वो उस direction में है, are we able to settle the program? 8-9 weeks में are we able to kind of get the pulse of momentum है students में, that one, and then keep reviewing it every now and then. Then there are people who are responsible at the ground level implementation. How do we actually translate it into real-time student enthusiasm, interest in it? We need to create this group at least. There is a group probably you would have identified. We'll work more closely. I and my colleague Swarup will work more closely with this, and then create a group and work with them more closely. The group, I am actually more bothered about the last group that I said, because they are the people who will translate it into action. Please stop me, ask me questions if there are any. Please do not hesitate. So responsibilities of that group are, they are the owners of the program results. हम ownership लेंगे delivery का अच्छा माहौल create करने का, content 100% students को जाने. but it is your program. The student is known better to the teachers, and if they own it, then they will actually see that the score is increasing. Use us as facilitators. We will do the program, we will facilitate the program, but the owners of it should be ideally somebody from inside. We can plan it out more seriously. Work closely with the program execution. मैं इतना तक बोलता हूँ कि हमारे क्लासेस में आके बैठो. Depute somebody to come and sit in the classrooms and then see what is happening on the VSAT. It is worth it. Come attend our labs. It will make that difference. There's a fundamental change that will happen. Please enable that also. We will actually work more closely and come more in detail about what aspects we'll do. They are in charge of making reports. मतलब ऐसे होना चाहिए कि इस leadership group को once in a month they should be able to present it कि sir मेरे group में ये हुआ. This is what we did. If they present it, the ownership level is much higher and there is a tangible difference that you will ask for. Indirectly, it also creates the second level of leadership for your own self. It is very, very important, and it happened in a few colleges. It can happen everywhere. So the program, you would have already seen it, you have gone through it. We start generally with the business skills as early as second semester. We may be changing it depending on the time of contract or time of engagement with each college. And then it runs through up to the seventh semester. I mean, each of these years, the second semester to the seventh semester, this is about 6 semesters covering 50 hours each semester, which is 300 hours. What Amit mentioned earlier, I see a billable cycle in this for a corporate. What I'm saying is when they actually take an individual into a company, they train them for some number of hours. A broad yardstick is about 350 hours of training is needed. So imagine for a company like Infosys, to bill, to kind of take a person, put him on job, to take a person and put him on training. So if they're training a person for 350 hours, that many number of hours into $40 is what they lose. They want to do it a little more faster, and hence they need people who can actually start on the job at the earliest possible. So this training indirectly facilitates that. It happened in such a way that some companies who have taken people start making them work in the next 1 month time. Instead of planning it for 6 months, they plan it in about 1 month time. They train them a little and then put them on job. This is what we do. There are various programs. We can actually talk about them more in detail in the next set of meetings. But for this group, at a broad level, the training methodology has a blend of VSAT training. It happens in the labs, and there is basically something called a boot camp where we engage students together, make them do projects on hand. This is a very, very important facet. If you see, this part of it alone, 1/3 of this alone, is a theoretical piece of it. The remaining is all experimental. See, students have studied somewhere for 17 years and they did not have, probably they didn't see a lot of experiments hands-on. What we do is we convert everything into practical, everything possible. Every 1 hour of theory will have a lab immediately. Whatever was taught earlier day, they will have a lab along with it the next day. They will be able to implement it in reality and then see it hands-on. It is very, very important that we actually give them that experience in a lab so that अंदर से जब उनको लगता है कि भाई मैं ये किया, मुझे आता है, then they have a spark in their eye. That is needed. If they have a spark in the eye, I think they'll present themselves better. If they do it for 300 hours like that, when they're actually realizing their sparks, they become better human beings, they become more confident. It is not about teaching everything. We probably teach only 5% or 10% of what you teach under AICT. But we teach them what makes them excited, what makes industry relevant. That is what we teach. And when a student does it himself, there is that satisfaction. वो इस पेज को मुझे ब्लू बनाना है, पहले व्हाइट था, मैं उसका इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया, वो ब्लू बन गया, उसमें जो satisfaction मिलता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है. उससे besides the result on this page, I have a satisfaction in me. That brings in a glow in my eyes. That makes me confident to face an interview. That is what we want to get. So we are trying to do that in this methodology. what we do is, while we do that part of it in the classroom, for us to monitor day in, day out, every day we do a training to that executive group on the ground. We give daily reports. I will present in the next group what are those daily reports. If you want to tweak them, if you want to see more details, you can see them. We will have a fortnightly coverage summary, and that we will give to the respective heads of departments and the principals, and monthly we will actually do a review. And we will send a copy to the strategy group also to understand how it is happening, how is the implementation rolling out. Every month we will actually give a report to the leadership, and that report will have attendance, it will have scorecards, it will have feedbacks of the students given very clearly. If there are escalations, those things we will actually have, we will leave a book with you where you can escalate and say that report comes to Bangalore. And we will do a midterm review and a program and summary. These are things which we are closely monitoring. These are very, very needed for this particular group. कभी आप वो scorecard लेके, if once in a month, if you enter a staff room and ask what is happening, I see the scorecard and this is relevant, this is not relevant, it makes a lot of difference. Similarly, if a principal of a college takes that sheet, attendance sheet, feedback sheet or scorecard, and enters a classroom and says कि यार